Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Okay, and welcome. Hello, how are you guys? And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially, well, if you're not going to subscribe yet, I have a full array of videos. So if you're still questioning me, go listen to the over 300 videos that are out right now. I have things with dating nightmares, which I'm going to get back to that. Reddit, which oh my gosh, I keep saying that, but I will. And then I have a lot, oh my gosh, River of Racism. Do you know how many posts? Like, people are still writing and posting about the beautiful, wonderful Mrs. Obama and how the MAGA Republican, bigoted, no good, poorly educated, ignorant, arrogant, just, ooh, okay, I'm about to say some words but yeah, it's Sunday. But anyway, they keep trying to call her trans, a he, she, and just so many awful, degrading things. And then even about Vice President Kamala Harris, and they call her, let's just say, they call her the names of working on the streets and things like that. So I'm going to be covering that very soon. And also some more on what makes a good villain, who is a villain, how is a villain created? Because, yeah, still trying to finish up that. I was like, well, I had one novel, but then I knew it could get better. And then I knew it could get better. And then it got to the point where I'm like, yeah, it's like I know a lot of people are tired of reading series, but yeah, the murder mysteries and everything, it was like, to me, I'm just like, no, it needs more. And I need more backstory. And I need more either villainy and stuff. So yeah, it's a series. And it's going to be a multi-series because it's like well, anyway, it's like I keep saying I'll talk and explain more. I'll do that on the nerd channel, which I haven't posted in like a month or two. And I recorded a video about that heart-shaped cake that was just like, people are like, I can't believe it costs this much. You're overcharging it. You're doing the, like, because I know the grocery store. Yeah. Just, yeah. Once I post it, I was going to say to go and watch it, but you can't because I didn't post it. But anyway, I am the handicapable Black woman. I talk about a whole lot of things, and especially politically, and things that tie into disability life, being African American, and being a female. And I don't forget my LGBTQ community. What? How you guys doing? How are my lovelies? So, yeah, I have my heart, just blown away for them. It's like a couple of my, like, it's really crazy because, and this is gonna kind of dive into my subject, but like, before I had to have my surgery, it's like the only people who had my back or even called me, checked up on me, were my friends in the LGBTQ community. It's like my closest, like, one, and yeah, one of my closest friends is my old boss back when I did promotional modeling. I will never forget the first event that I worked with him, or well, kind of for him, because he was the team lead and stuff. It's like, with my walking, at first he was so scared, to like, it made wanted to make sure I wasn't gonna get hurt or whatever. And it's like, by the end of the event, he was just like, "Oh, you work?" I'm like, "Why wouldn't I work?" And he was like, "Oh, well," and so he learned a little bit about disability life after that. So, but anyway, it's like, he had my back. He was like, oh, he's very blunt too, very blunt to the point and everything like that. And he had my back, and he doesn't know how much I needed him, especially. during like the end of my promotional modeling career, or well, not even really, it wasn't really a career, because I started doing it because I wanted to go into marketing, but then with my degree and double minor, it's like they kept saying you're highly qualified and all this other stuff, but you can find another job, you can get another position, you don't want to work here. Oh my gosh, are you mixed? Oh, well, how do you walk, how do you talk like that, why do you walk like that? I was like, oh, you talk so proper, I'm shocked. And so yeah, basically going through the racism, ableism, and everything like that. And so every time I would go home and have to tell my mother that I didn't get another job, it was a horror story. It was terrifying and awful. And I've said this in many other episodes, so I would just say go check out other episodes on it. But oh yeah, this is a black sheep episode, or a gray sheep. Well, black sheep, like, well, it's gray sheep, but this episode's kind of for my gray sheep as well as black sheep, because I know there's some black sheep out there that they will not go to another holiday dinner. Easter's coming around, they're like, heck to the no. It's like I'm hopping anywhere and everywhere but my mama's house, but my dad's house. It's like, oh, if stepmom or stepdaddy is at this house, heck no. I'd rather look up a hairball or whatever, or I'd rather throw a carrot cake in their face. So, yeah, let's just say I can't blame you. And I know it's like my situation has changed so much over the last 5, 6 years. Like when I growing up, walking differently, doctors kept like telling me I was a liar. I was making it up. I just wanted attention. So literally getting spanked, hurt emotionally and physically, but a lot emotionally. And so I know I'm not a parent, and some parents are going to tell me she doesn't know what she's talking about. She needs to be quiet. She needs to mind her own business, whatever, whatever. But I am a gray sheep. And it's like, my mother's opinion, I'm probably the black sheep. So like earlier, like when I was about to say black sheep, I'm like, well, when it came to employment and following her demands and her directions, I was probably a black sheep. It's like, but again, my definition of gray sheep is, to everyone else, they're impressed and they're always like, oh my gosh, it's like you've accomplished this and you've done this and you're doing that, and that's so great and that's so amazing. But then whenever you go to your parents, or whenever your parents go and talk about you to other people, it's always bad and awful and terrible, or with a lot of ignorance or arrogance, or it's half truths. Ooh, yeah, a lot of my family members, they only know half truths. I remember some of my family from Florida, they started talking about me, or how, like, oh well, maybe now that you've stopped doing that promotional modeling, maybe now that you're just gonna stop promoting alcohol. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so it's like, and yeah, like always, this is probably gonna be a series, because this topic and the advice that I'm trying to give out, yes, advice, and yes, again, I'm not a parent, but I am the end result of what happens from the emotional, the emotional trauma. I am the end result. So, but like one of the things, like when I did promotional modeling, some of the clients were alcohol promos. I didn't want to, but I was in grad school trying to start paying off student loans, and I was trying to start like putting money to the side for a mortgage, but that didn't never happen. Yeah, let's just say all the money that I end up having to save literally had to go and pay for me to be diagnosed. Almost every, like, so I literally had to start over now. So, yay me. But anyway, back when I was doing promotional modeling, again, some of them were alcohol, but that's like 10 to maybe 20%. And that was more near the end because, especially face to face interviews, when the corporate people or the managers saw how I walked, they would ask, "Why do you walk like that?" And because of the doctors, I don't know. I just walk like this. I've always walked like this. And they're like, "Well, you're not going to last long in heels." Or client or the public are just going to stare at you. They're not going to take you seriously. No one's going to want to buy from you. Even though well, this is an alcohol client, but when I was with an absolutely kind of terrible company, but I was like one of the leads with this one, I was top seller three, 3 or 4 quarters in a row, and I don't drink. And that's another funny thing. Like a lot of my cousins, like, oh, maybe she must be a alcoholic or whatever. And I'm just like, I don't drink. I actually go by smell, or as like at the training I would have to sip it or whatever. But after that I would go home, get online, I would research like what kind of like dinners, lunches, or whatever complements this, what kind of beverages can you mix to make with this. So then when I get to my location, I would go around and see which of those products were at each location. And so when people would come up, and especially if they were like getting ready for a party anniversary and stuff, I'm like, oh, it's like when I find out which drink they like, I'm like, oh, I know what you can have. And like sometimes I would even ask, what is your color theme? And when it's like, especially like if they said blue or something, like I always try to find like a drink that was blue, because that's the most favorite color in almost every country. And so it was always blue, but then I always try to find one that matched the season as well. And it's like, so it's really funny because a lot of marketing people, they're like, or like when I especially worked at some of, not for NASA, NASCAR, is like I either did Monster or not, well, different energy drinks. I think one or two time I was with Monster. I wasn't a Monster girl. Don't think that I wasn't pretty enough or thin enough for that. But they had like the ambassador sample people or whatever. So, but yeah, I'm trying to remember some of the other brands. Oh, I was with Pepsi. Yeah. Yeah, because I remember one time the stuck up little girl, she she was getting out of her car, and I realized that she was working the promo too, but she had a Coca-Cola branded item with her. And I tried to tell her, and I was just like, yeah, you might want to put that back in the car. It's like they'll have some drinks nearby. And if like I remembered some of the Coca-Cola brands, if you want to buy something like out there, but I really don't, you don't want to take that out. And she ended up swearing at me, calling me out of my name, telling me I'm nobody, and even mentioned how she's skinnier and prettier than me. But yeah, once we got to the event, yeah, she only worked 10 to 15 minutes because once they saw her beverage that was for a competing company, yeah, they don't play that. And even in our contract and all, like, she didn't read her training. And she even said, I didn't read that mess. That's not like, why does anybody need to know? Like, n- you learned your lesson. So, anyway. And this is what I'm talking about. When I work, I work. I just did a 2-part series, which I can do so many more, about when is someone like me getting a job not going to be considered a DEI hire? When am I going to be good enough? Because when I work, I work. I do my research. And that one reason why, like, I don't even drink, but I was top seller, and I kept being a top seller. It's when I even did like the Santa display at a mall, like parents came back days later. Oh, how are you? Oh, we went by this store and we got some cookies. And I'm like, oh no, I don't think I can take that. Like, 'cause I didn't remember that in the contract if we could. Like, I knew we couldn't take tips. But it's like I was like, is a cookie a tip? Because they had to pay for it, so I'm not sure. And I was like, I just remember one of the moms like, where's your stuff? I could just put it in your bag. I'm like, oh no, that's locked away. And it's like at the end of the night, Santa came up to me and he gave me like this little baggie. And I was like, oh, what's going on? Oh, do you need me to hold this for you, Santa? He was like, no, that's for you. One of the moms, she wanted to make sure you got this, and she was determined. So she asked me if I hold on to this for you. And oh my gosh, I broke down in tears. And like, yeah, I got a extra hug from Santa. And he's like, I remember the last night. Oh, because yeah, I remember I cried when on my last night with him. He was such an amazing Santa, and he knew sign language too. I only know a little bit, but with whenever I saw a kid that was ASL and stuff, it's like I would team up with him and I would ask the child. I was like, "Oh, what's your name?" And they would sign it, and or sometimes the parent would say it, and I was like, "Oh no, I understand." And I was like, I'm not fluent, but I understand those letters and stuff. And so sometimes the parents were so happy, or once the kid like found out that I know some, oh, they want to just talk to me. So then I was like, oh, I'll be right back. And so then I would go up to Santa, like right after a family would leave. And I'm like, oh, red a sweater dress. It's like her name is Ashley. Like she is deaf, and it's like, oh, and she loves deer, and she loves like dolls and so like whatever information or whatever excitement. And or if they just came back from the like maybe the rainforest cafe or whatever like is going on over there, I would let Santa know. And he's like, oh, how'd you like the food over there? He was like, I'm Santa, I like my elves tell me everything. So but it was just like I said, when I work, I put everything in it. I love kids and I love events. So it's like when working the alcohol promos, whatever, if I see someone, they're having an event and they're bringing people together, like when you share food, when you share a feast, you're sharing love. And with Santa is kind of like a symbolic like symbolism of love for so many people, because you're giving a gift, you're sharing, you're being selfless for a change, like especially in America for a change. So, but anyway, a lot of my family members, they only knew, oh, she just goes around and gives people, like she's just trying to promote alcoholism, she's just trying to, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Majority of my promos are toys. Like I said, like I did like some like 10 to 20% with alcohol. And like I even did some work, not puff puff pass, but like like okay, I try to make sure mine are kid friendly promos or whatever. And so it's like, okay, it's been legal for a long time, 18 plus. People like my ex, oh my gosh. Sometimes I like his daughters kept begging him to quit. And I was just like, what is this doing for you? And you keep asking me for gas money. You keep telling me you don't have enough money, but then you'll buy two, three, 4 packs a week, but then you don't have enough gas money to go to work. But then you tell me that I have extra money since I don't have kids, but I'm saving for a house and trying to pay off my student loans. Yeah, make that make sense. So, and trust me, oh yeah, another series you're gonna need to look out for. It's like I haven't started it soon, but I talk a lot about Mr. No Heart and Mr. Lockakey. But I'm gonna be starting the 40 reasons why I broke up with Mr. No Heart. It is a very long list. It's probably gonna be over 40, but it's a good start, right? If I can ever start it. But anyway, so yeah, picture all of that in your heads. Okay? Okay. So I'm having all of these amazing experiences, some bad, some terrible, because my walking is getting worse. And like I remember there was one time where I woke up and I had to work. Like there was a person who double or triple booked promos. They needed me to do it last minute. And the owner called me asking me if I could. But my legs were acting up in the morning. So I was like, no, I'm not. I don't think so. And she kind of gaslit me. She was just like, well, if you want to be one of my top girls, I'm going to need you. If you want to stay on the top, if you want me to call you whenever I need you, it's like I really need you for this one. And I was scared to lose the position because I'm trying to like pay for some of my student loans. I'm trying to get my life together. And then in the back, like my mom keeps calling me a failure and saying that I must be stupid after all if I can never get a real job, and that being a promotional model is just for stupid ditzes. And or like, yeah, if I took like, okay, I'm gonna get to that because this is where, yeah, I'm saying all of this for a reason. And trust me, I can do an episode like this for every holiday for probably 10, 12 years. But anyway, okay. So I remember like my legs were hurting so badly. I was trying to soak them in the bathtub so that they wouldn't be in pain. I ended up being late for the promo, and it's like I was frustrated, but if you knew the excruciating pain I was in, and but I did make it. I was there. I was trying my best, and but the boss or the manager of the store called the owner, and then the owner was just like, oh yeah, I'm letting you go then. And I'm just like, I told you I wasn't sure. I told you I didn't think I could work this one. And she blamed me. And I'm just, and the thing is, so many companies kept telling me, get a doctor's note, get a doctor's note. And my doctors kept telling me, this is your fault. You're choosing not to pick up your feet. You're choosing to walk like this. You're lying. And then that one doctor, if because I was like, I tried not to tell this one doctor, because what did she do? She went called my mother. So next thing I know, she called my mother, and then I get called into her bedroom, and she tells me to close the door. When she tells me to close the door, that means I'm gonna get hit. Yeah, and I do, and I did, or a shoe thrown at me, or I can't believe you still can't find a job. You're so stupid. Why can't you do anything right? You're never going to find a job. Your father wasted so much money to try to get you in school. Oh, and now you're in grad school. You're never going to finish it. It's like, you think you're actually going to finish it? You're wasting your time for nothing. You're never going to do anything, and you know it. You're never going to find a job. No one wants you because you're never going to do anything right. It's like, you think you're smart. You think you're creative. Well, we all know you're not smart. And your creativity, it doesn't matter. Your creativity is never going to get you anywhere anyway. So you might as well just find a job. You think trying to be a promotional model is going to get you somewhere, but it's never going to do anything for you. And that's just a sample. But just imagine that. Just imagine that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, you have that makeup on today. You have eyelashes on. Oh, so yeah, you're probably just going to try to sneak off with a man after work, aren't you? Yeah, it's like God is telling me you're going to be nothing but a garden hoe. Anyway, if you keep walking around with those eyelashes on, you better rip. One time she did rip the eyelashes off, and she actually ripped off a couple of my real ones. And so I was able to hold off the tears until she did that because it shocked me so much and it did hurt. But yeah, she did that. She did that. And so at the end of the day, parents, I mentioned this in another, but I said I was going to do an episode before a holiday. Whenever you have an argument with your child or even young adult, have a journal. Have a journal for each child, a separate journal, because you don't want to put them together. You want to make sure you know exactly what you say and do to each and every child. Because when that child decides to not come home, when that child decides that they need space from you, that they can't handle being around you, you need to understand the why. You need to understand their hurt. Because sometimes, like, even like before my mom passed away, there were times, like with the whole job thing of being a garden hoe, whatever, I was working my butt off. I was working 2 or 3 jobs and stuff. And so I was coming home later Monday through Fridays because after working at one school, I drove to another school to work an after school program. And my walking was getting worse and it was hurting so badly. But I was going to work every single day. My mom didn't know about the second job because none of her business. Because every time, like even working at the school in the inner city, she told me, "Oh, you're wasting those time with those students." You're just like, and I'm just like, "You are a teacher. You worked in the inner city." And she was like, "Yeah, but you put all this effort in it. They don't care about you. They don't care about what you're trying to do. It's like those teachers don't even like you." And I'm like, "Yes, I know this, but," and so it's just like negative after negative. And so I didn't tell her about the other job. And I was like, I'm just going to save for a house. And oh, I'm going to pay off all my credit card debt because when someone stole my credit and just along, and then student paying off for my books and stuff like that or whatever. But anyway, I remember she was just like, one time she called me in the room, told me to close the door, and she's yelling at me or whatever. And then finally she was just like, tell me why it takes you so long to get home from a city that's right near us. Don't lie to me. I'm like, I'm not even like, okay, first you're going to start off like that because, well, I have to thank the doctors because the doctors all my life kept calling me a liar about my walking. So then my mom always called me a liar. And I still remember the doctor's appointment where the doctor to my face said, well, aren't you a little liar? It's like, don't you, like, honey, you shouldn't enjoy lying so much. Stop lying to us. Why do you walk like that? And that's how it started. So that's when I was like, I work a job after that school. I go to another school, and then I have to wait until all of those students leave or their parents pick them up. Then I get in my car and drive about 45 minutes back here. Then I go upstairs and go straight to bed so that I can wake up even though my legs are hurting more than I don't tell her that part because she blamed the pain on me as well. She blamed all the pain on me. So she didn't, it's like, and the thing is, like, sometimes when, like, even with the job, she was like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, whenever I tell you about any job, whenever I tell you about anything, and I started listing all the stuff, but I'm gonna have to save it for part 2. But and again, I'm not a parent and I know, but I know the hardship, I know the pain, I know the trauma, and I know how that we don't forget. People like, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never. No, that is garbage. That's garbage. Absolute, just, just idiot. Like, to me, that's one of the most idiotic statements because I have had to live a life of so many words and trauma and just so much blame on myself, and it wasn't my fault. This is the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human, and you're human too. And I have so much more on this one.